All right, guys, I'm out here on Collins. We've been out here maybe 15 minutes, and you know, I knew conditions were going to be tough. We had all that crazy weather the last 2 days, post-frontal conditions. The weather has dropped a ton. The temperature's dropped a ton. Good fish, nice little fight. The lake's really muddy, so I knew that we weren't going to come out here and just knock them dead with spoons and speed trolling right off the bat. So I put out a couple worms, and it's been about maybe 10 minutes, and I've got one on the lead core. It had 3 colors, 2.5 colors out, so it's probably about 20 feet deep, 18 feet deep. And looks like our first little planter is coming right up to the boat. Let's see what we got here. He's just a little guy, so I'm gonna go ahead and just scoop him right in. Whoop. There we go. All right, nice little planted trout. All right, guys, so I'm back out of Collins. You know, we just had all that weather pass through. We had some rain, some snow, massive temperature drop. The water temperature's down a little bit, and the lake's pretty cloudy. So today, post-frontal, is probably one of the most challenging days to fish. And we knew this coming into today, but I wanted to make sure I stayed on top of the lake. Obviously, we're meeting you guys out here next week to put you guys on some fish. So we're really trying to be out here as much as we can in as many different conditions so that we stay on top of the bite. But there's no doubt about it. Today was going to be a challenge. Post-frontal days are always hard, especially after we had a lot of weather that just passed through in the last 48 hours. And today it's, you know, bluebird skies, beautiful sun, and a little bit chilly. The water color is pretty stained. Quite a bit of runoffs come into the lake from the rain the last 48 hours. There's still water running in a lot of the little valleys and nooks. So the water's pretty stained, more so than we've seen it since we've been out this season. So all of those things add up to a really challenging day. So coming out knowing it's going to be challenging, I totally skipped the speed trolling and power trolling part of our normal gig because I just know that they're not going to be super active. So pretty much going all worms today. We already have one in the boat, which is great. It came on a threaded crawler with a micro turbo in front of it, and it had a willow mini willow leaf dodger, and that's been a great combination for us out here. I added the micro turbo to that presentation just to give it a little noise, because with this stained water, we're gonna have to do something to attract the fish and get their attention. Otherwise, they're just not gonna pay attention to our gear, I don't think. But something else I'm doing kind of different today, and it's a perfect day to do it. We're gonna do the worm challenge, okay? So I got a set of night crawlers, bought them here at Collins. Great bait, we buy them all the time. They're excellent in the store. They have a ton of them. So anytime you come to Collins, you're gonna wanna pick up a can of night crawlers. But I also have the Gulp worms, which are 2-inch pinch crawlers. They look very similar in size and shape to what we use when we put the real stuff on, but I really wanted a side-by-side comparison. So I have my own opinion on which one's gonna do better, but as we go throughout the day, we'll keep you posted on kind of what we see and which ones are performing better than the other. Advantage of the Gulp is they last a little bit longer. They're a little bit easier to handle. You don't have to get, you know, dirt and worm guts all over you when you use them. Disadvantage, I would believe, is they just don't taste like real worms, and I'm gonna let the fish decide that. I'm not gonna taste them myself, but we'll see what they say. So here's what we got. 2 lead core rods set up, completely identical. They're both out 2.5 colors. One is running a Gulp crawler with a micro turbo and a mini willow leaf dodger. The other one's running the real crawler with exactly the same micro turbo and the same color mini leaf dodger. So far, the real earthworms have put one in the boat. The only bite we've had all day, one fish, so not a whole lot of science there to base any real judgment on, but we'll see how it goes throughout the day. We'll keep you posted.
Going.
All right, guys, so this is our second bite on the Gulp worm. We lost the first one right at the boat, but I think this one's on there pretty good. He whacked it pretty good. It looked like he hit it twice, which I'm kind of surprised. He missed it the first time, came back and got it on the second pass. So, oh no! There he is. All right. So, that's one in the boat from the Gulp and one in the boat on the worm, but that's our second bite on the Gulp. And guys, that's a much nicer fish. Just reel him right into the net, bud. Right in. Oh, get out of the downrigger line. Stop reeling. He's in the downrigger line. All right, I'm gonna stop the camera and fix this mess, but we got another one in the boat. It's great. All right, guys, so one thing you always have to do when you're running a worm is you gotta make sure it's rolling next to the boat before you put it back. And this worm has pretty good action from that dodger, but the worm's not really rolling very much. I want to see it rolling quickly, like you know, 2 or 3 rolls every second or two. So he's rolling a little, but not much. So I'm going to make a quick adjustment and slide the worm down the hook and just put a little bit more kink in him and see if I can get that roll back. So I'm just going to slide the worm down the hook just a little bit, and you can see that it puts a pretty good bend in the worm, and that's because of the offset shank on that slow death hook. So now when I drop it down into the water, get it under the surface, and yeah, there we go. He's got a little bit of roll to him. It's not super aggressive, but I think that's good today. All right, so I had a downrigger rod out pretty deep, guys. I've been running it probably 25 or 30 feet out all day, and it hasn't been touched. It's got a worm and a big turbo on it, and I decided to just drop it down just under the surface, just because normally I wouldn't use a downrigger for that, but that was just the way our lines were. So I had it down about 8 feet, and it didn't take 30 seconds, and I got a little trout on, and he's gonna get tangled in our other line over there. So let's see if I can make this work. We got a 4-rod spread on the back of the boat, which is awesome for playing around with different stuff, but it makes it a little bit more challenging to get fish in the boat sometimes. This guy, I'm just gonna swing him into you, Jake. Okay. And there it is. Nice. Another one. Man, what a blast, Collins Lake on a beautiful morning like this. I switched over to Gulp on the downrigger rod, just curious, and man, it didn't take long. Of course, right in the middle of a big turn we hook up, which is always bad when you got this much gear in the water, but we can fix it, I think. That is our lead core line. I'm gonna try to step over and swing this fish into the boat. Nice little planted trout. It's been the average size today. They're not huge, but man, they're fun. Nice and slow on the crank, nice and slow. Don't want to horse a hot fish up to the boat. There he is. All right, let me grab the net. And right into the, oh, get him in the net, buddy, get him in the net. There we go, good job. Nice. All right, so release that reel and set the clicker on it so it doesn't go crazy. And then, all right, keep him out of that other line. Good job, good job. Step to your right. Whoa, screamer, stop reeling, just lift. Nice fish, buddy, nice fish. That's the one of the day right there. Good job. Not huge, but that's definitely a little bit better size than we've had most of the day. It's fantastic. All right, guys, so we just docked the boat. We're kind of done for the day. Near limits. I think we had 7 or 8 fish in the boat. We only lost 1, which is pretty fantastic. And the wind's about to start blowing in. There's some weather coming. We knew it was going to get windy this afternoon, so we went ahead and called it a day where we were at. We had a pretty successful day. Definitely a grind. We knew that coming in. We knew the conditions were going to be tough. Let me show you what we did to make up for it and to land the fish we got. So ran a Gulp side by side with the worm all day. And the Gulp landed every fish that's on the deck. We had 1 fish on a worm, and then the rest of them all came on a Gulp worm, which is pretty cool. Not what I expected. And I was surprised because we had some fish that would nip at the worm and then come back and still take it. We've experienced that quite a bit out here on a hard bite. I wasn't sure if the Gulp they were gonna respond to it and come back for it, but they did often, which is really great. So it definitely is an option for you if you don't want to buy night crawlers. The Gulp worked really well today. Way better than I expected. Here's the rigs we were running. Mini willow leaf, pretty good leader on this one. Back to our micro turbo flasher. A couple beads, and then a Gulp worm, and these worms thread on these slow death hooks really well, and they roll just great in the water, and they seem to they hold their shape really well, where the crawlers eventually will kind of get soft and mushy and slide down the hook. Didn't have that problem on the Gulp today at all. So this rig was probably our best setup. Caught several fish on it. Lead core, 2 colors, 2.5 colors down. So pretty typical. Trolled anywhere from 1.3 to 1.8 miles an hour. Caught them throughout that range all day long. Second setup that was really good for us was, instead of the mini willow, I just ran a full turbo flasher. couple beads on it, help it spin, and then a leader again back to a slow death hook with the Gulp worm on it. We caught several fish on that. I ran this on the Downrigger, caught a couple fish like as shallow as 7 or 8 feet, and we also picked up a couple deeper, 20 feet, 25 feet down on the Downrigger today. So we covered the whole water column, multiple speeds in the slow to medium range, and continued to produce all day. If we went out and did another circuit of the lake right now, I'm pretty sure we could round out our limit, but I don't want to fight the wind this afternoon, and I'm going to call it a good day at this on what we expected to be a very tough bite. We pulled it off. It was great. So that's the setup. Hopefully you can duplicate it, and keep hitting the water. The spring bite is coming. It's definitely turning on, and sooner or later we're going to be able to replace the worms and just run all hardware and spoons. We're not quite there yet, but it's just a matter of time. All right, talk to you guys soon.